Hello and welcome back to Elevate Your Genius. This is our first official episode after our introduction episode, and I'm so happy to be here with my friend, Dr. Anita. If I had clapping sound, I would give you some applause.
Well, I would give you some applause too. I'm happy to be here with you as well, Hannah, and excited for what we're going to talk about today.
Yes, so you and I were talking off camera about a study that was done in 1996, which seems like forever ago, but the information that they pulled from this and what they found from this study was so incredible that I felt like the conversation that you and I had really should be recorded so that other people could listen in and learn from this too. So whether you're listening on YouTube or you're listening through a podcast, we are so happy to have you here. And we are so excited to cover this topic. So let's just dive right into the topic of PTG, which I had no idea what that was until today. So can you explain what that stands for?
Sure. So people, it's such an interesting article by Taditsky and Calhoun. They studied this concept of post-traumatic growth. And people have usually heard of PTSD or post-traumatic stress disorder. But what's interesting is that out of all the people that went through traumatic experiences, what they found was that 80% would return to baseline, their level of functioning before the trauma, right? So they'd go back to life as usual. 10% would develop PTSD, and probably heard of those symptoms. Some people have nightmares, some people have flashbacks. There's a difference in brain functioning in some cases. However, that's only 90% of the people that go through trauma. There's another 10% that experience something very different than the other 90% that go on to thrive after trauma. And these are the 10% that experience post-traumatic growth.
Or
And that
PTG.
or PTG, or they grow from that traumatic experience.
So let's talk about ways that we can make sure that if we have a traumatic situation happen to us, or if our clients are dealing with a traumatic situation, that we can engage the growth rather than, developing PTSD or just not really developing from that.
Yeah. I mean, another term that has been used for post-traumatic growth is the phrase brain reserve, which Dr. Daniel Amen, who's pioneered SPECT imaging, talks about how this is an extra layer of cushion around your brain that helps you cope with stressors that come your way. And the more brain reserve you have, the greater likelihood that you'll be resilient, and the less you'll be impacted by those traumatic experiences that would result in PTSD. And so you're asking about, how can you promote? Is that what I heard? Like, how do you promote post-traumatic growth or make it more likely that you'll be
Right. So what are some ways that we can, either we as, a person that does not have a mental health background, or we, the person that is helping their patients or their clients with a traumatic situation or preparing their brain reserve, if you will, what are some things that we can do to promote that?
Yeah, there's a pretty good list. So let's go with a couple. So if we look at the biological situation, like what Dr. Amen talks about when you're thinking about the physical hardware of the brain, he gives 3 strategies based on his clinical experience and over 90,000 specs. And that is to develop brain envy, so you can see what your brain looks like and think about what a brain would look like that has PTSD. And even if you can't go to the clinic and have this expensive SPECT study, you can see images online of what does a brain look like that's experienced trauma or that is in this PTSD mode versus a healthy brain. And then you can have that in mind of thinking, okay, if I've experienced trauma, I may have a brain that looks like this. I want my brain to look like this. I want my brain, to look better. We worry so much about our physical appearance, but what about our brain, which is something that's involved in everything we do? And then the next thing he recommends is avoiding any activities that hurt your brain. So, like one of the top causes of traumatic brain injuries is, having a bike accident where you're not wearing a helmet. So it sounds simple, but just remembering to wear a helmet when you go bike riding, or if you do any sort of contact sports. If you play soccer, try not to head the soccer ball. Don't hit it with your head, because that could be associated with a and with a traumatic brain injury, you don't always have a concussion right afterwards or feel like you black out, but there can still be inflammation that can cause some problems. And then the third thing is to participate in brain healthy activities. Like the top brain sport that Dr. Amen's talked about is table tennis. So, playing a game of ping pong uh, can be good for your brain. And so those three things, trying to maintain that brain envy so that you want to make your brain better, trying to avoid activities that we know are harmful for the brain, and then try to participate in more activities that are helpful. That's a starting point for the physical structure to sort of increase that brain reserve and that cushioning. As far as psychological things we can do, one is, and this is discussed in the Mr. Rogers Effect, Secret 4. And Secret 4, if you think about like all the, this is one of the secrets that has a long list of benefits. There's just in the book, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 different benefits associated with practicing this secret. And this secret involves, if you practice this, you can get lower blood pressure, enhanced immune function, increased well-being, increased life satisfaction, decreased depression, decreased risk of anxiety, decreased risk of substance abuse disorders, quicker recovery from illness, increased resilience, increased happiness, increased social connection, increased capacity to form and maintain relationships, and here's an interesting one: increased positive relationship satisfaction for self and spouse. And that is the secret of gratitude. And it's also one of the milestones on this road to post-traumatic growth and brain reserve. And so that is developing appreciation for life. And so sometimes when people experience post-traumatic growth, they become more aware of the fragility of life. As you hear people say, wow, my life flashed before my eyes. And they just appreciate the fact that, they woke up in the morning. I used to have a supervisor who used to say, what's today? And then he was waiting for everyone to say, today is the day the Lord hath made. We will rejoice and be glad in it. Right. And so just the idea that, okay, we woke up to, God gave us another day, and to have that appreciation. And when we take time to appreciate life, appreciate others, write thank you notes, reflect on the blessings that we have, it literally can lead to changes in our neurocircuitry, improvements in our mood. So that simple adage that we probably, many of us may have heard growing up from our grandparents, count your blessings. The science is behind it to indicate that if we take time to reflect on what we appreciate, we will find more of it, and we will have greater levels of satisfaction. And those that are in relationship with us and have to interact with us will also have increased levels of satisfaction. We'll be healthier, we'll be happier, we'll have better relationships. So appreciation for life is one of the first milestones on that journey.
Perfect. Well, I love that. And something that we talked about doing on every podcast was giving a concept to contemplate. And I just, as we were talking about this, one that I think would be great is for people to think about the things that they are grateful for and that they can show gratitude for. So maybe a person or a situation that they had or anything that they're grateful for. I think that's a great way of promoting brain health. And that's interesting that just being grateful for what you have and realizing the life that we're given can promote growth in our brains rather than, being stagnant or the alternatives. So I thought that that would be a great way to end the episode. I know you probably have lots of other ways. I'm sure that there are lots of other ways to promote post-traumatic growth. And I hate to cut you off, but we want to keep these short so that people can really take something and apply it into their own life and into the lives of their other clients, if they have clients themselves. Do you have anything else that you want to add before we head out?
I think that's some of the highlights from Secret 4, showing gratitude. And I would say that, if people want to know more about that, you can always refer to Secret 4 and the Mr. Rogers effect. Mr. Rogers believed the words "thank you" are probably the greatest words in any language. He said that in an interview. I met a guy at the Apple store named Jakumi. He was one of the geniuses that helped people with their technology. And as we were chatting, he told me that he had experienced the benefits of Secret 4, and he started keeping a log of his blessings. And he actually would write them out every day with his left hand because he was right-handed and wanted to use the other side of his brain and increase more neural pathways and also experience the benefits of gratitude. And so he was doing that on a regular basis. And so I found that very inspiring. And I think that that's a great concept to contemplate until next time, is to think about, what are we thankful for? What are we most appreciative for? So I would just say, Hannah, that I am very thankful for you today and for our listeners, and for all the benefits of gratitude. And I look forward to talking with you more on the next episode. But I hope until next time, this gives everyone some concepts to contemplate.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for this conversation. I know that we will cover this topic in depth in other episodes. We have tons of other episodes. We have tons of other ideas. But if you're interested in learning about Secret Number 4, Anita is not going to be the one to promote the book as much as I am, but I have read it. I think it's a great book. Secret Number 4 is a great secret, and we don't want to keep it a secret from you. So if you would like to purchase the Mr. Rogers Effect, you can do so on Amazon, at your neighborhood bookstore. We would love to hear feedback on this. We would love to hear feedback on this podcast. We're just getting started. Thank you for sticking with us, and we will be back next week. Until then, see you later.